Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at a book from Edward Elgar Publishing Limited. It's this book here. It's called Regulation and Economics. That's the side of it, and that's the back. You can see there's quite a lot of information. Edward Elgar described as a family business in international publishing. The book runs to about 800 pages. You can see what it looks like here, right in the middle. You've got the classic example of the huge number of footnotes and references and the materials which the distinguished authors have put forward. They're calling it bibliography for the purposes in this particular publication. What you have got at the back is again a reasonably detailed index, and at the front you've got a list of all the contributors, because this book is a compilation of a whole range of essays concerning what we mean by regulation in general. You can see the beginning of it there. Regulation in general, regulatory tools, social regulation, and so forth. Very important part of our lives today. Now, what has happened with this book is that Elgar have asked Roger van den Bergh and Alessio Pacces to edit this work, and we've given it the title Regulation and the Economic Problems Underlying It, because there are some, and we're all subject to regulation whether we like it or not. Obviously there are lots of different views about what we should be doing with regulation and the regulatory authorities, whether it's in the financial areas, the legal areas, or whatever area. However, our review is on the web and in the journals, and what we say is this: as the editors point out in their clearly explained introduction, the research question underpinning most issues relevant to regulation or regulations is the economic logic upon which they are based. Public opinion, of course, on regulators and regulation tends to swing from the clarion calls for deregulation to pleas for certain industries or activities to be regulated more stringently, particularly following financial crises or natural or man-made disasters. And public or indeed private seesawing between pro-regulatory and anti-regulatory approaches to, say, issues of public welfare make this a book which undoubtedly, in our view, will be of special interest to both lawyers and economists. The editors, van den Bergh and Pacces, maintain that the, quote, economic analysis of regulation, both positive and normative, holds regardless of the specific legal environment in which it is applied. Well, they would say that, some people would say. However, normative can be defined roughly here as referring to the economic justifications for regulation and the reasons why it might, i.e. should, benefit society. And you can see the balance in the arguments both ways. This is actually volume 9, you can see it's at the bottom, volume 9 of the Encyclopedia of Law and Economics, now in a second edition. I think it's a valuable contribution to the debate, and let me just conclude by saying law students, as well as students of economics and policymakers within government departments, indeed anyone concerned with the genesis and implementation of regulatory environments, will find this book of exemplary special interest. I certainly found it interesting, being a member of a profession which is very highly regulated, and obviously I have my own views. I don't actually agree with a lot of the regulations that we have, but I have to abide by them, because the one thing I'd lead as a final point to you to consider is this: if you have too much regulation, it stifles the ability to compete. And what it then does is it means you don't make a big profit. At the end of the day, you've got to get the balance right. I question whether we've got it right at the moment, and that's actually from an economic perspective. But thank you to Edward Elgar and to all the people involved in this excellent new edition. Bye-bye.